Hello, lovers and friends. Welcome to another Motivation Mondays episode. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. And listen, last week is over. It's done, it's dusted. There's nothing you can do about it. All we can do is set our eyes on the future and hope to do better this week. So sit back, relax, whether you are listening on your way to work, or it's the end of the day, or you're listening while you're in the shower, getting ready for a hectic day. It doesn't matter. Relax, listen, and let's get through this topic together. I'm excited, you're excited. Let's get into it. All right, lovers and friends. First, let's start off with a recap of last week before getting into this week's topic. So, last week we were talking about tolerating the wrong things and needing to build a tolerance to new things, good things, and being kind to ourselves as we try to acquire and experience and create a new normal. So as I'm sure you can hear, my voice is a little deeper than, last week, or a little more raspy, and that's because I've had a intense week. Oh my gosh. This past week has been, rough. Why it's about rough? Yeah. You don't know. You do not know. It was rough. But as difficult as it was and as stressful as it was, and I am operating on very little sleep and I've been on my feet for 30 hours, I am really proud of myself for taking last week's advice and, taking stock of my life, and even just in small moments being like, I've experienced this before. I don't like it. I have never liked this experience, but it's an experience I keep having and I wanted to stop. And the steps I needed to take to get the wheels in motion were difficult. I had to acknowledge that I was a co-conspirator in, this discomfort and in this experience, and give myself grace, in understanding that I didn't know any better. I didn't know how else to operate in those spaces, which is why I was always yielding the same results. But by me giving myself that grace, I also realized that because I had a hand in my own demise, that I was also in a position to change the trajectory of my engagement in those spaces, and that I could advocate for myself, right? And after coming to that realization, it took, a day or two to build the courage to actually then speak up for myself and, let it be known that I am unhappy and that I need certain changes to happen, and that I will be taking certain steps to prohibit, these things from happening. But yeah, it was really hard. I wanted to cry. I felt like a terrible person. I felt like I was being mean by setting this boundary, right? Especially because so many people had benefited from me not having that boundary in the first place. So for them to be upset and, get angry and all of those things was not pleasant, I think. But as much as there were a few people who did not like, I guess, me bringing up the issue or pointing this thing out or maybe just didn't like the fact that they would be inconvenienced by, my new stance. There were also a lot of people who acknowledged, what I was saying, who were in support of me wanting to make that change, who, said that they would stand by me and, offered to help me change the dynamic. Yeah, and they also recognize that that's not something I have to be experiencing, that I shouldn't be in that predicament. And it was affirming, that I'm not crazy, that I'm not asking for too much. And speaking of asking for too much, we are going to have a topic on that. We're going to discuss, the joys of asking the right people for what you need. But yeah, I didn't think that anyone would care, if I spoke up and expressed a need, and you sort of expressed a certain boundary that needed to be put in place. I thought I'd be met with a lot more resistance, and I didn't think that I'd have any support. So that was a pleasant surprise. And as much as I was trembling and, terrified and needed to go to the bathroom to cry a little when I was met with resistance, and even when I wasn't, honestly, just the fear of, disappointing everyone around me was quite scary. I'm glad I did it anyway. So, all in all, I think whatever fatigue and pain and frustration I feel right now, I am proud of myself for standing up for myself. Even if it may seem like a small thing, it's a really big thing for me. And to top it all off, I have the day off tomorrow. This time last year, I had a similar week, filled with fundraising events and just being on my feet for hours on end and zero sleep. And I went to work on the Monday in pain, achy. I'd lost my voice, but I was still at work, because I'm a trooper or whatever. But as part of, me trying to make a change, I said, no, I'm not working. I need to rest. And I know that my programs cannot run if I'm not there, but that just means that my programs are not going to run. A day off is not going to kill anyone, and if it does, then I definitely need to be getting paid more. And yeah, I demanded my day off and I got it. So yeah, all's well. All's well that ends well. Okay, so that was a pretty long recap, but I started this podcast to encourage and motivate myself and anyone else who was in a similar predicament as me, who found themselves feeling the same way that I do at times. So I think a bit of an update is important, to say that these ideas that I have, that I am trying my best to put them into practice. And I'm not always successful. I'm not always good at it. I'm not always as tactful as I'd like to be, but I'm trying. And I think that that's all I can do right now. I can try my best, and I can accept that sometimes my best will not be good enough. But that shouldn't stop me. Anyway, so this week we're going to talk about our relationships. Pew, 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 pew. We're going to talk about our relationships because I'm the type of people that really values friendship. Like for me, lovers may come and go, but friendship is forever. And I think that is thanks to the friends that I have had over my long/short life. Um, I've had the benefit of meeting some really interesting people who have influenced me in very big ways. And I've learned a lot about myself through those friendships, more than I have from my romantic relationships. And they've made such a big impact in my life. And it cannot go sort of unnoticed, and I cannot sort of just say, oh, that's just my little friend. No, there's no little nothing here. These people are major players in my life, for better or for worse. They weren't all positive contributors, but they contributed nonetheless in big ways. And that's why I see friendship as such an important part of my life. So, in order for me to consider you as a friend, or consider you to be my friend, I sort of must care about you really deeply. I do not throw the word friend around willy-nilly. If you're my friend, it's because I love you, I care about you, and you're a big deal in my life. This also means that there are very few people that I call friend. Yeah, and it also means that when I end a friendship or lose a friend, it is heartbreaking and is really, really scary and sad. But yeah, I'm going to talk to you about my friendships and just how I would like to spend this week reassessing my relationships in general, not just with my friends, but even with my family and my acquaintances and colleagues and everyone. I want to see where I have been slacking, right? Have been taking the relationships for granted. And also be honest with myself in identifying people who've been taking me for granted, right? And obviously, this is within the context of, the relationship as a whole, and not just, this week you didn't, drop me off at the airport, so you're a bad friend, rah, rah, rah. But to take a step back, to remove those rose-colored glasses, and to really just see, like, is this person actually adding value to my life, or have I just gotten into, a habit? Have I just gotten into a routine with this person, which is why they're still in my life, but they don't actually add any value? Am I holding on to a dead thing? Am I dragging a corpse around hoping for something to revive it? So first I'll tell you about, I think, the first friendship to really break my heart. Oh my gosh. Um, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself in the subsequent years because of that friendship. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. So, 2011, I'm in this group, 3 girls, 3 guys, and I ended up, like, by the time the guys matriculated and left the school, I was really close with this one guy. Let's call him Mike. And if you're my friend and you know who I'm talking about, you'll know why Mike is important. Well, Mike is a funny name. Anyway, so Mike and I were really close, and we stayed in contact even when, they left the school and went to university. We would talk on the phone all the time, we would text, and it was a vibe. It was really, really cool. This friend helped me when I was struggling with one of my subjects. I asked them, for their advice and for their help, and they were more than happy to help, and I really appreciated that. Also because I was afraid to ask for help. I was never really the type to even admit that I was struggling at anything. and would never let people see me sweat. But this was my friend, and I felt safe with him, so I told him, hey, I really need help. Can you please help me? He said yes. I was eternally grateful. And yeah, I ended up passing that subject. So shout out to him. Thank you very much. And then in 2013, I was in my first year of university, and I'm now, still updating them on my life, and oh my gosh, this is also new and it's amazing, and all of these things, and everything that they had shared with me the previous year when it was their first year in university. We're now comparing notes and like, did you experience this? Because I'm experiencing a whole bunch of that. And it was great because I felt like, I had someone who, I could talk to about these experiences. Um, and in the same way that they would express maybe their concerns and insecurities and stuff, I always jumped at the opportunity to like gas them up and just let them know that you got this. I know university is hard, and you're alone, you're in a new city. Don't worry, you got this, you got this, you got this. And it was great to sort of like, kind of in my own way, by encouraging them and saying the words out loud, I was also kind of saying that to myself, right? And anything that, because I felt their concerns and their stresses so much, I was like, we can do this. We've got this. Anyway, yeah. So I ended up being like completely blindsided when, I don't know whether it was like the beginning of 2014, where all of a sudden the relationship was like getting hella sour. Now they're making, like, every time we'd have a phone call, they're making these weird comments and like snarky remarks and calling me names. And like, obviously, as friends and me as a person, I like to tease. Um, so I wasn't really sure whether this is like part of the teasing, but it's going a little too far, and I'm kind of getting hurt here. But I didn't say anything because this is my friend, and they wouldn't mean me harm. So the problem is probably me just being overly sensitive. Um, and this behavior just continued and continued and continued till at some point I was just like, damn it, what's going on? Like, geez. Um, and I think we had this confrontation like in May. And I'm just like, what the hell, fam? Like, what the hell? Jeez. And they ended up saying that, like, I bullied them, that they hated my guts because in high school, so back in 2011, when we were in school together, I had bullied them and that I always put them down and I made their life a living hell. And yeah, that I continued to bring them down. And because I just, seemed like such a needy person, that they, tried to be supportive and tried to be there for me, but it's just been really difficult for them because, they're out here giving their all to help me, and I am ungrateful and, bring them down at every opportunity. And it was such a shock because I'm just like, this doesn't sound like me at all. But at the same time, this is my friend who is such a good person and is so amazing. Why would they lie? Why would they lie? So I must be this person that they are describing me to be. Um, and that maybe I was just not aware of it, right? And I'm now sort of like playing back all my interactions with people, and I do sort of like to sort of like poke, not necessarily poke, but like I'll tease and giggle and laugh. And, I do have an odd sense of humor. And maybe people are like feeling really hurt, by my strange sense of humor and sort of, walking that knife's edge when it comes to my humor sometimes. And yes, maybe I am this person that he's describing me to be. And it was heartbreaking that someone that I loved so dearly and someone that I cared for so dearly was hurt in such a deep way. And the way he described the torment that I put him through, um, it it really broke my heart, because I would never wish that upon anyone. And then to find out that I'm the one that's doing that to my friend, oh, I felt like the worst person in the world. And I apologized. And, certain things didn't make sense, like, why would you keep interacting with me, especially because you left the school? Like, you could have just said, that, like, you could have just blocked me, I guess, So there were certain things that didn't make sense, but I didn't really spend too much time thinking about those things, because I didn't want to discredit what he was saying. Because again, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. And why would he lie? It would always go back to, why would he lie? This is my friend. This is, this amazing person. So yeah, it was really hard. And soon after that was the June school holidays. I went back home, and I had sort of like gotten into this like self-isolation phase, and I was pulling away from all my friendships, because I had decided that, I'm a terrible person. And, if he's only having the courage to tell me the truth about his experience of me now, that maybe other people are experiencing me in the same way and also do not have the courage to, um, they also don't have the courage to speak out, right? So because I am this monster of a human being, it's best that I stay away. So anyway, I go home for the June holidays, and I'm talking to my father, and I can always trust my father to be honest with me about how he feels about anything, really. He doesn't spare anyone's feelings when he needs to express something. So I ask him, I'm like, in your observation of me, do you think that I am, like this, and this, and I sort of listed off all the things that my friend Mike had said about me. And he was just like, nope, that doesn't sound like you. Yes, you're strong willed. And yes, sometimes, you can sort of take things a little too far, but you're also kind and compassionate enough to acknowledge when you've gone too far and immediately, apologize. And you sort of know that it's a sensitive topic, and you don't revisit things. You don't revisit it once you've been made aware of it being a sensitive issue. So, no, all in all, and how I've observed you interact with your friendships, that does not sound like you at all. And I kind of took some solace, in that. But obviously, being the insecure person that I was kind of just like, well, yeah, he's my father, and he doesn't really know me that well. And, he's not listening in on every phone call. He's kind of just, seeing the parts of me that I know. Like, like I'm just like, he's only seen a little bit of it. So what does he know really? But anyway, it's good to know that whatever he has seen, he hasn't seen any inklings of that. So maybe it gave me that little glimmer of hope, but it wasn't enough to really cure me of how I was feeling. And I went back to university, and I'd already made sort of, new friends at university, and I started to pull away from everyone. Um, because I just didn't feel like it was safe for me to be around anyone. Um, yeah. And I think that we'll touch on the friendships that I made at that time and how this situation affected everything. But during that time, I decided to just sort of drown myself in my studies and my volunteering and all of that stuff. Like, I would just whatever social needs that I had, they'd be met through like volunteer work and being of service to other people around me, and kind of, making amends, in some way. Um, but yeah, I had stopped contact completely with that friend, Mike, because I said, like, clearly I'm bad for you, and I'm trying to do better, I'm trying to be better, but I don't think that there's anything I can do to mend this relationship, and I think it's best for your safety that, we not contact each other. Anyway, over time, I think by December 2014, I was slowly, getting back to being social again and being in contact with, the new friends that I had acquired, and getting back to rebuilding those relationships and rebuilding my confidence in myself. And I think as much as I was going into, the volunteering and everything to escape, it also allowed me to meet new people and get feedback on, who I was, how people were experiencing me. And I was getting more and more feedback that contradicted what this friend said. And it allowed me to trust myself again. So I went back to my friendships and tried to make up for lost time. And I never really sort of explained to them, how everything was affecting me. But I told them about my experience with Mike, and they just, like, oh my gosh, this was such a lie. This person is ridiculous. And, they were just like, oh my gosh, Mike is lying to you. Mike is lying to you. There's no way that that's true. Right. And I wonder, like, if I had reached out to them and, told them about everything sooner, if I would have, reacted and in the same way. And if I'd spent, 6 months withdrawn and afraid to engage in any sort of personal relationships, or if, you know, th- their affirmation would have been enough for me to shake off what Mike had said and to just move on, but we'll never know. Anyway, I think in 2015, Mike reaches out on Facebook and sends me a long message saying, hey, I haven't seen you in such a long time. I've missed you. I bumped into one of the guys who, were part of the group of six, and they asked me about you. And I said that I hadn't seen or spoken to you in a while, and that made me think of you. Rah, 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 rah. We should really have a call. We should catch up. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, this is one jovial conversation. Like the tone of the message as a whole. I was like, oh my gosh, do you not remember that I was your bully, fam? I don't understand. I don't understand where this energy is coming from. So I sent a message and I was like, you made it very clear that I was, the bane of your existence, basically. So yeah, that's what happened. That's why we stopped talking. And if, that other person wants to know how I'm doing, my number hasn't changed. They know how to contact me. They can ask me myself. Um, but yeah. So, and then he replied and said, no, I don't, like, what do you mean? I don't remember. Like, please, refresh my memory. Like, what happened? And I then went on to sort of explain everything, and everything that I told you now, just rehash it. You said that I was your bully. You said that, I was making you feel terrible, and that you hated contacting me, and, that I made your life difficult at school, and all of these things. And he replies and says that at the time he was struggling at school, and basically that he felt insecure, that he felt intimidated by me. He felt like I was super smart and knew everything, whereas he, didn't know anything and was just feeling really insecure, and perhaps decided to take that out on me. And that maybe his remedy for that was to then make me feel small. And it shock of my life. I spent so much time hating myself, punishing myself for being a terrible friend, only to find out a year later that none of that was true and they were just insecure, you know? And it yeah, it was really hectic, because I think like this conversation was happening at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was up late finishing an assignment, and this Facebook message just pops in, and it just like I needed to take a minute, to really just gather my thoughts, because I'm just like, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell? How could this possibly be happening? Like, how could this even be real? Who would do this to someone? You know? Anyway, it was ugh, ugh. But yeah, I kind of just, left it. I said what I needed to say at the time, and I left it. And I was just like, I don't want this person in my life at all. Like, if you were okay with treating someone like that, then no, you know. And I know when I was younger, I did really stupid things as well in my friendships, and I haven't always been a good friend. And I think that's why it was easy for me to believe the things that he was saying about me, because I know I've made mistakes as well in my friendships. Um, but I was young, I was a child, like in primary school, doing these ridiculous things. We're in university now, we're older. Like, yes, we're still technically young, but come on, you know? Anyway, so I, kind of just dismissed that and I let it go. Um, and it really taught me a big lesson. One, I should have seen the signs a lot sooner, right? Every time that he would bring up his insecurities, it was always, in relation to me, right? And he would always try to bring me down a little bit. And I was the one who was just like, oh, well, we're just joking. This is part of our witty repartee. When he meant what he was saying, you know. And because I thought that he was this good person, I didn't allow myself to see the truth of the relationship, right? That while he was trying to bring me down, I thought, we just would poke at each other. And I know not to sort of, go too deep. And I guess maybe because of my upbringing, I had thick skin. So his attempts at bringing me down really didn't work. And that's why he kind of had to get into boss mode to try and bring me down. But also because I was so unsure of myself, I was easily shaken by things that were just completely untrue about me, that I didn't know the truth of who I am, that I allowed someone else to tell me who I was, and I believed them. Um, so as much as the friendship hurt me a lot, and I think I still have a tiny little scar, it did teach me to not allow other people to tell me who I am. And to understand the difference between, sort of constructive criticism, um, and to not sort of take those things to heart, um, and to just sort of understand that, like, okay, with this information that you're giving me, that it's also kind of muddied by whatever your perspective is or whatever your life experience has been. That just because that's your experience of me, that doesn't mean that's who I am, right? Because I could do the same thing, behave in the same way with someone else, and they would have a completely different experience of me because of who they are. So, first and foremost, I need to know who I am, and whatever information I receive from other people, I can choose to agree with or disagree with and move on from there. So I'm grateful for that experience. Um, and it's also how I learned that friendships really do mean so much to me. Because I think I'd been pretty casual about it or never really acknowledged how much my friendships matter to me until that point, until, you know, I saw the effect of this friend's, opinion of me and how long it took me to recover from that. Anyway, now in the first year of university in 2013, I had met these two girls, and it was actually like a larger group of girls, but we eventually broke off into our little groups. And there were these two girls who were so amazing. Like from day one, I just was in awe of how beautiful they were, like inside and outside. Obviously, I saw how beautiful they were on the outside first, but the more I spoke to them, they were just so kind and genuine and funny and cool and all these things. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these girls are so amazing. And I kind of had like a fangirl crush on them. And I was just like oddly fascinated with them and just wanted to hang out and like just sort of observe them more. And in my mind, I would never be as cool as they are. And would never be sort of on their level, but I was more than happy to just sit back and observe and just like soak in and bask in their light because they're just so cool. And these amazing women, they, for whatever reason, wanted to be friends with me. And they were super supportive and super encouraging and were so loving. And it was all so foreign for me. And I was very resistant of it in the beginning because I was just like, no, 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 no. I'm here, to celebrate you, and to enjoy all your greatness, right? Um, and I'm just happy to be here on the sidelines while you just shine because you're the star of the show, and I'm just here. I'm just happy to be here. Um, yeah, but they were persistent and they were like, no, we want to be your friend. And these two women have become the best part of my life that I would not have gotten through the past 10 years without them. We have been through the most. You know most? I don't think you know most. As individuals, our lives have taken us through so many tough times and so many fantastic moments as well. And we've been there for each other through it all, not always being in the same city or even the same country, but we've always found a way to be in contact with each other, to be there for each other, even if it is just to listen to a 40-minute voice note about everything that's been going on. But we've been there. And honestly, I think had it not been for my insecurities and the fact that in the beginning stages of our friendship, I was then going through my situation with Mike that resulted in me questioning everything and how I showed up in my relationships. I think that those things really stunted my ability to show up in the friendship in the way that I want to and in the way that I hope I do now. And I wonder what our relationship would look like now had I not had those, hindrances, had my friends not had to sort of fight and be really persistent in pursuing a friendship with me. But I'm very grateful that they did. because I love them dearly, and my life would not be the same without them. Um, but yeah, these two women have asked have asked me for nothing. They want nothing from me. They just, want me to continue living. And they celebrate me openly. They support me, and they are the best people that I have ever encountered in this life. Um, and I love them so, so much. I'm not gonna cry because I'm a bad bitch. And you know what? Actually, Megan Thee Stallion said bad bitches have bad days too. But I think she said bad bitches have bad days on Mondays to Thursdays. That is possible. What did she say? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Bad bitches have bad days too. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Bounce back. Hi, bad bitch. What? Always do? Or something like that? Anyway, so I'm not sure when the bad days are supposed to be. Is it supposed to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday to Thursday? I don't know. Point is, yes, bad bitches can have bad days. But it's not a bad day. So either way, I'm not gonna cry. But I love them so much. Um, First, Naomi. Naomi and I have been in a long distance friendship for a long time because Naomi and I do not live in the same country, unfortunately. But one thing, ugh, here I am crying and getting upset. One thing I love about Naomi, and one thing that has been consistent in our friendship for years, is that she helps me get in touch with my inner dreamer. When I'm talking to her, I feel like I can, I can be anything I want to be, you know. She is so encouraging and so supportive, and is the best friend anyone could ask for. She will give you the clothes off her back. She will stay up all night, to support you. And same thing with Yanzi, the next friend I'll talk about. But Naomi is smart and funny and gorgeous, and she lights up every room. She has this really sort of mischievous sense of humor that I appreciate so much, because she gets my dark jokes, and sometimes will come out with a joke that I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know, it has me clutching my pearls, and it's so refreshing. I I think like one of the core memories that I have, a moment where I realized that like I do not want to let go of this person ever. We were walking across the rugby fields, going from upper campus to middle campus, and we were imagining, I think she was talking about wanting to work for the CDC, and I was talking about being a negotiator or something. I don't know, arbitration, something, for some cool organization that I had heard of. Um, where they sort of like do something like peace treaties and stuff like that, that they're in the middle of those type of like negotiations and whatever's. I don't know. We were dreaming. And just the fact that like, I'd start off with a small idea and she would contribute and I would, build on that and she would build on it. And it would snowball into the two of us imagining like a full life, that it wasn't just like, oh, I want to be, let's say, like a lawyer one day, you know, but it went into like where we would live, where the offices, what we would drive on our way to work, what are the outfits gonna look like, all those like little tiny details. We would dream it all up, you know what I mean? And like even getting to the point of like dreaming of ourselves getting promoted from the dream job, and we're now, whatever the next step after this dream job, um or this dream anything really. um and it was just so beautiful to have those conversations with her. And we would plan like these little adventures, and get on the train and just plan. We love to execute a plan. And those are like our favorite things to do. We'd plan anything really, even just a trip to the local pub. We'd plan like, okay, cool, we're gonna pregame at my place, and then we'll walk there like around this time, and then maybe pass by. There was like a bar called like Groove Lounge that had 5 rand shots. We'll, so this money is going towards the pregame drinks. Then we're gonna put like 50 rand aside for shots at Groove Lounge, and obviously because the music is better at Groove Lounge, but Groove Lounge is really grimy and there's nowhere to sit. So when we're tired, then we finish the 50 rand. We'll then go down to the pub where we can have, somewhere to sit and chat, and we'll have like the Clippies and Coke special, right, where you get like 2 for 1. And we had it all planned out. It was, and for us to come back having had a successful night and having executed everything on our plan, like that was more satisfying than anything that could have happened the whole night. You could have like met the potential love of your life, and it would have been outshadowed by the fact that we ticked everything on the list. It was amazing. Anyway, so yeah, I love Naomi very much. She has supported me through some really risky life choices where I thought I was making the wrong decision, and she was there to support and to encourage me, and I am eternally grateful, and I really do hope that I offer her the same friendship in kind. The next person I'd like to talk about is my friend Yenzi. Yenzi has been a great influence in my life. She has like this quiet confidence that I admire so, so much. And she is just a delight to be around. She has this like infectious smile and these gorgeous eyes that just like suck you in. And I love her confidence. And I've learned so much about just life in general through her. She takes self-care so seriously, and it has taught me about how I can better take care of myself. And for her as well, just for her, love is like a verb. It's a very serious verb. This verb is out here and it's doing the things. You know what I mean? She acts on her feelings, and being on the receiving end of all of that action and love and that sort of visible outpouring of love was really shocking and jarring, I think, at first. And I think I was most resistant to my friendship with Yenzi because it was just unimaginable to me that someone would care so much, to do so much for me, like me, of all people. How? How does that make sense? You know? Um, not only in comparison to her, but in general, I saw myself as just a nobody. And then someone like her who is just awesome in every way. Like, why does she care so much about me? Um, yeah, and I think I'd get really anxious when, like, I'd want to be around her because she was so amazing and because I loved her so much. I just always wanted to be around her, but at the same time, I knew that being around her, mm, I knew that being around her meant that she would love me back. And I didn't really know what that felt like, you know? So it was really uncomfortable and really scary for me. Yeah. So it was really hard, I think, for me to really be present and give myself fully to the friendship in the beginning because I was just so overwhelmed by just how loving she was. And she's so adventurous and so smart as well, you know, and she's just a wealth of knowledge. No matter what is going on, no matter the topic, she's read something about it, she knows something about it, she can actively contribute to the topic, you know, and she asks really deep questions. And yeah, she is the epitome of, you know, a good friend. And I love her to bits. And had it not been for Yanzi and Naomi, I don't think I would have had the courage to expect more from my relationships and to demand more from my relationships. I am the person that I am now thanks to these two pivotal friendships. And I've definitely had really big friendships outside of these two amazing women. Friendships that have also changed my life in so many ways and have added to the tapestry that is, you know, the person that is speaking today. But these two core friendships have held me together when I was falling apart, when I didn't want to be here anymore. They've talked me off many a ledge, either with Yanzi just moving heaven and earth to just show up and be there physically, or Naomi, you know, helping me envision and dream a different outcome for myself and for my life, you know, when all I could see was misery and pain, that she could be a light and shine a light on, you know, other things and other options. Um, these two friendships have really changed my life, and I will forever be grateful for them. So you might be wondering, like, why am I telling these stories? What is the motivation for this week? The motivation for this week is to look at your friendships and to be grateful for everyone that you encounter, because there's something to be learned from every experience that we have from the people who enter our lives. That, be it a good or bad experience, that you could learn about yourself and learn about the world, you know. Had I not had that bad experience with Mike, I might have still allowed myself to be defined by other people. And maybe had I not had that bad experience that forced me to pull away, um, I would not have known that there are people who are actively seeking me out because I was always the one chasing other people. Um, so to pull away and to find myself in spaces where now at the NGOs that I was volunteering at, where people were actively seeking me out and, asking for my presence in certain spaces and for people to say that they missed me and to be getting all of that feedback, I would have never created even the room to receive that feedback and to get that information to say that I don't have to chase all the time. I don't have to beg to be loved, that I'm deserving to be loved as I am. And that these two core friendships, prove that. But that also the other people in the periphery, the people who just happen to be in my circle, that they also affirmed that. Um, and that is basically the point of this week's, um, Monday motivation. It's who's in the corner of your circle. You need to do an assessment of who's in your life as a whole, right? Who's in the general circle, and are you are you in a good circle of people? Is this a good space to be in? But then at the same time, who's in your corner? Do you actually have people who are in your corner? And it might not always be the same people all the time, but do you at least have someone in your corner? And in assessing yourself and how you show up for your friends, um, are you in someone's corner? Can certain people trust you to be there for them and to have their back, in the best way that you can? But are you showing up for people in the way that they need you to, right? In the same way, do you have people that can show up for you in the way that you need them to? Is there balance in your life and in your relationships? And yes, times change. There are times where some people will need more, and there'll be times where you need less, right? And sometimes the roles will reverse. But when you aggregate everything, when you take a step back and look at your relationship as a whole, is it more good than bad? Do you have rose-colored glasses when you're looking at the relationship? Are there certain signs that you're missing that are slowly contributing to your own sort of a chipping away of your self-worth and how you see yourself? Do you have people in your circle who are secretly wishing for your demise, who merely want to be in your circle because they want front row seats to, when you fall? Just all of that. This could be a really good week for you to appreciate the friendships that you have, appreciate the people in your life who pour into you and who add value to your life, and to seek out those people and to affirm them and to thank them, verbally thank them for all that they are to you. As a person, you like to hear that positive feedback. Sometimes we're too quick, to focus on the negative and to point out when someone has, done us dirty in some way. But when it comes to celebrating someone, we kind of take those things for granted sometimes, and we aren't as loud about it as we are with the disrespect. So if, you can't identify anyone who's, bringing you down in any way, this could be a good week to celebrate the people who lift you up, to really highlight those people, to let them know that you are grateful for who they are. This is a fantastic week to be spent on gratitude, and just even the people who are just your colleagues, your acquaintances, but anyone who is a positive presence, to thank them and to let them know. We have a really bad habit of only telling, people that they're amazing to us at their funerals, when, we had all the time in the world while they were alive to tell them to their face. So this is our time. We never know how things are going to end, when they're going to end, but you need to know that everything that you needed to say was said, good and bad. That you expressed how you felt about the person, that you expressed how you felt about the relationship. Because people need to hear those things. People need the feedback. As someone who had never made room for such feedback, to have received it is the reason why I am so open to receiving love now. But before, I would chase people and would only really focus on any negative feedback that I got and never made room for positive feedback, would reject anything positive that would come my way. And who knows, you might have someone in your life who maybe struggles to receive positive feedback, and you could be that person for them, where you are persistent in your appreciation of them, in your gratitude for who they are in your life. That might be, the little droplet of water that eventually allows the cup to overflow, and form rivers and form waterfalls and lead to oceans of love for that individual. So let this be a week of gratitude and love and reflection. It's always good to reflect. There's never a bad time to reflect. So let us reflect on our relationships and on the people that we have in our lives. Let's, reassess who needs to be in the circle, who is in our corner, and who needs to, be let go. And it's okay. It'll be hard, and it's heartbreaking to end a friendship, but like we discussed last week, we want the best for ourselves. And sometimes that means not allowing certain behavior to continue in our lives, that as much as we may be familiar with it, it's not something we need to continue moving forward. So yeah, I hope you spend this week just, looking for opportunities to be grateful and to share that gratitude with the people in your life, to let them know that you appreciate them, and to take the time to take it seriously, to not just casually be like, oh, girl, you look so cute. Oh, girl, you be shining. Yes, girl, yes. It's not the same as actually saying, hey, do you have a moment? I just want to tell you something. And to then sort of intentionally list all the things that you appreciate about them and how they make you feel and how they add value to your life. And you just say, I really appreciate you. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being in my life in this way. You you are just another sort of ray of sunshine to my day, to my life. And my life wouldn't be as bright as it is, had it not been for you and the light that you contribute to it, you know? So let's do that. And honestly, it adds so much joy. Just even being able to express those things makes you feel good. And, you get to add a little bit of goodness to somebody else's day. And who doesn't want to do that? Who doesn't want to make someone's day a little better? And you never know what someone is going through we don't always, share everything with everyone. And to receive those kind words, could be the thing that turns someone's day around. I know even with my friendships that when I say that they talked me off many a ledge, they didn't always know that I was on that ledge, but they were so giving and generous with their friendship that it was just by virtue of them being in my life that I was able to make a different choice and, choose to keep going. And you can be that for someone. And it might, spur on a conversation where they might share, how you have contributed to their life. And sometimes we do sort of walk around in this fog, feeling useless and feeling like our contributions don't matter to the world, that we are not doing anything. And because we're just used to sort of handing out this love, we no longer see its value, right? It's just like, I do that for everyone, so it's not a big deal. It's nothing. When it's not nothing, because there are many people who are desperately waiting to experience the type of love that you have to offer. There are people who have never experienced someone like you, and they desperately crave that. So sometimes it's good to also hear that feedback, to hear that, you are of value, that you matter, and that there are people who are happy to have you in their lives. And that conversation starts with you being, sharing the gratitude on your end first, and hopefully the more often you do it, it becomes a habit where you now created a system within your circle where you actively affirm each other on a regular basis as a form of self-care and as a form of caring for each other, that no matter what is happening, that we will always pour positivity and light into each other, that these are the type of relationships you want to engage in. You want to engage with people who, yes, can be honest about, the tough times and share everything that they're going through, but at the same time that they do not shy away from sharing positivity, from being positive lights in each other's lives, because I think we are very quick to complain, and that a lot of relationships are based on a mutual hate or distaste of something, when we don't spend enough time basing our relationships on enjoying certain things and pursuing sort of better lives for ourselves. So let that be this week, where you make your week not just about calling to rant and rave, but calling to appreciate and praise. And let's see how the week goes. Last week was a tough week, having to take a tough look at our lives and the environments that we have allowed ourselves to stay in, even when they don't serve us. And those environments include people. So let's identify the people who are good people, and let's identify the people who no longer, serve a purpose in our lives. And let's move forward with gratitude, purpose, and positivity. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I love you plentiful. Bye. And yes, in the outro, I will give you a little sneak peek into what to expect for next week. I hope you have a wonderful week. Happy Monday. Bye, 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 bye. Wow, that was a long episode. Thank you. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please put your comments below. And I don't know what those YouTube people say. But anyway, next week will be a nice quick one. We will be talking about the disappointment that comes with, realizing that we don't always show up in relationships in the same way, where we might be used to overextending ourselves. Other people are more comfortable with, choosing themselves over anyone or any situation, and how maybe we might not act with an expectation of, receiving that kindness in return. It can be disappointing when the people we care about choose not to show up for us and care for us in the ways that we are more than willing to care for them. But yeah, it'll be quick, it'll be brief, and hopefully really encouraging. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see each other very, very soon. I love you. Bye.